Good morning. Today I am coming on for a second time to talk about the importance of micronutrients and soil health. And this is a really big topic, and it's one that I did not know much about until a few years ago, until I was truly forced to learn about the importance of soil health because I was dealing with PCOS, I was dealing with weak brittle fingernails, I was losing a lot of hair, I had bad PMS, and I had to learn about it. And what I learned is that we are all deficient. Less than 1% of our soil today is deemed nutrient dense. And this is a topic we really have to start talking about more because our food is depleted. It is not the same as what our grandparents were dealing with. It's not the same food. It really is not. And this is partly due to a toxin called glyphosate. And this was introduced into our environment in the 1980s. And for those of you that aren't familiar with what glyphosate is the main ingredient in Roundup. So this is kind of what you see everybody spraying on their lawn, on their driveway to get rid of weeds. And it's also sprayed on all of the crops here in the United States that are not organic. And what happens when this chemical is sprayed on our food is that it destroys the soil. It kills the earthworms and all of the bacteria in the soil that is needed for the plants to be healthy. And we have to remember the relationship between humans and plants. They are so interconnected. And our plants are severely depleted. And many of us don't know this, or, I didn't know this until a few years ago. And it is so important to understand. And I don't mean that the food that we buy from the stores today is just not optimal. The food we're getting from stores is literally giving us barely what we need to survive and develop in the way that we should be developing. And I'll talk about how this affects pregnancy and children specifically, but we're seeing an explosion of disease right now. I think it's 1 in 2 people have cancer. Brain fog is among, everybody that I talk to. Arthritis, dementia, infertility, autoimmune. And just to expand a little bit more on glyphosate, it's patented as an oral antibiotic. So again, this is the main ingredient in Roundup. And this is what's sprayed on everything, and it's water soluble, meaning we can't just wash this off our produce. It is on our produce, and it's in our produce. And you are more bacteria than you are cells. I think you're 10 times more bacteria than you are cells, and we're made of trillions of cells. And antibiotics kill everything, good and bad. So it's important to know too that bacteria are what regulate your cell function. So if every day you don't have the right bacteria in your gut because we're consuming glyphosate daily because it's in our air, water, food, and soil, so many different things can trickle down. And I could go into a lot of different things, but many people right now are dealing with leaky gut, IBS, allergies, and so much more. And these things have become so common that we've normalized them, but they should not be common. They're not normal. And what this chemical does is it destroys something called the shicamate pathway in plants, which is an essential amino acid pathway for plants to fold proteins. And these are called essential because we don't make these aminos. We don't make these micronutrients. We have to get these from plants. And we also need these to build a human. And if we don't have that, and glyphosate is destroying the plant's ability to do that, the plants don't have enough info for the ribosome to fold the DNA to do all of the things it needs to do. And so I don't want to deviate too much and talk about glyphosate the whole time, but it is important to know that this is something we're dealing with in our world right now, and it's important to be educated on it. So the one thing I wanted to really talk about is there are millions of people right now that are nutrient deficient, and we have more disease than we can keep up with, and we are overfed and we are undernourished. And the impact right now is really greatest on young children and pregnant women. And I wanted to come on and talk about this because I myself am preparing for pregnancy, and I want my body to be nourished on the deepest level possible before I do get pregnant. And for those of you on a similar journey or dealing with certain symptoms, I thought that this would be helpful for you to learn about. And I'll be taking you along my journey of what I'm doing to prepare my body to become pregnant. But a huge part of that is making sure that I have the micronutrients that I need. And going a little bit deeper into that, brain development in our youngest years and pre-pregnancy is really the absolute most important time. And micronutrients are the most powerful thing to develop the brain in our children. And when thinking about the proper time for mom to, or the mom to become, to detox is 3 to 6 months prior to conceiving and up to 3 years after. It's the most development for that child's brain that they will literally ever get, is the nutrition that you're giving them in that time. And that's how important it is. And so when they're lacking essential vitamins and minerals, we will see different issues pop up. And we are seeing this kind of across the board. So, mineral deficiencies. So that can really affect the teeth. That can affect the bones. Calcium too is made by your body from minerals. And so when we're lacking calcium, that can also have trickle-down effects, especially for children. It can affect, cognitive delay. Micronutrient deficiency can cause a lot with cognition. People are more susceptible to disease by, I think it's 50 or 60% when we are undernourished. And so that's just to name a few things when specifically thinking about babies and children. But 92% of our population has at least one vitamin or mineral deficiency, not even thinking about children. And many of us are lacking multiple. And this is what I was dealing with. When I had PCOS and a ton of hormonal imbalances and IBS. And we need a minimum of 30 micronutrients in order to operate the basic functions of our bodies. So similar to the 9 amino acids, we must get these from plants. And if our tissues are depleted of micronutrients, the function of our tissues are also sacrificed. So soil depletion, as I mentioned earlier, is a huge contributing factor for plant depletion. And when our plants are depleted, we're not getting our micronutrients, and then we are depleted. And we have to always think back to we are only as healthy as the plant and as the soil that it's growing in. So my main message is it's really important to eat an abundance of organic, micronutrient-rich fruits and vegetables of all different colors. And even then, most times, right now, sometimes that's not enough due to the level of topsoil depletion we're experiencing. So it's important to note that when you are taking vitamins or multivitamins, like vitamin D, for instance, that it's coming from a whole food source, not an isolated source grown in a lab. And I mean, the vitamin and supplement industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. So it's really important to be conscious and know exactly what you're buying and what you're putting into your body. I used to spend hundreds of dollars a month on supplements. And I mean, I still have so many in my cupboard because once I learned that it wasn't doing anything for my body, I stopped taking them. But the thing is, we don't want to take things grown in a lab because the body doesn't recognize it. The body doesn't know how to absorb it. So the key is to always look for whole food supplementation grown in rich soil. So not just organic, but also research farming practices. And I have recommendations for that, so I'll share that with you. But when you take multivitamins, like over-the-counter multivitamins that are isolates, you might notice that your urine is a different color. And that is because you are actually peeing out those nutrients. The body doesn't recognize it and doesn't know how to absorb it. And that's just important to keep in mind, because we don't want to spend money on things that aren't doing anything for our bodies. So if you'd like a list of my favorite nutrient-dense whole food supplements grown in rich regenerative soil, let me know. You can post in the comments, you can DM me. Don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. I do have links in my bio or my link tree, so you can take a look there. But the whole goal of me coming on today was really to educate on the importance of micronutrients, especially for those of you out there that are thinking about conceiving, or that are pregnant, or are even postpartum, because nourishment alone can really reverse some of the uncomfortable symptoms that you might have in your body. And not many people talk about this. And it hasn't been until the past few years that I truly learned the importance of micronutrients and the impact that it's had on my body, now that I am finally out of depletion and thriving and feeling like a new person. And so the first thing that I do when working with my clients specifically is I bring them out of depletion. And we start with simple diet changes, and we add in really rich herbs and whole food micronutrient supplementation, because it's amazing what can change just from making sure you're properly nourished. So again, if you need advice or you want recommendations for yourself or your family or your children, it is my deep, deep passion and mission to share this information with anybody who is looking to up-level their health and make sure that their children or their bodies have everything it needs to thrive. So again, if you are thinking about having a child as well, or you're pregnant, this is a really important time to make sure that you're nourished on the absolute deepest level possible. And I am here to support you. So I hope this was helpful for all of you. I will post the replay for those of you that just joined, because I'm just finishing up, but I hope you all have a beautiful day. And again, don't hesitate to reach out to me. It is my mission to help people thrive and feel amazing in their bodies. So have a great day.